Well, hey everybody, welcome to Throwback Thursday. Welcome to part one of 2009's Space Hulk, a project. For those of you guys who have never seen this box before or know who I am, my name's Ash. I run a channel called Guerrilla Miniature Games. I have a studio in Niagara, Canada, and I love tabletop board games. This is probably one of my all-time favorites. This is actually the third version of this box that ever got made by Games Workshop, and the reason it's been on my mind is that they have just put up for pre-order this past week Hive Secundus, which is a Necromunda expansion, Necromunda being a gang fight game that featured Tyranids. And this was the original version sort of that, where you played as Space Marines fighting Tyranids in a derelict spaceship. This is the most recent version of this classic game. The original first edition features heavily on this channel. You can see me play through all the core original missions, as well as Deathwing and Genestealer, the two expansions for it, the original 80s version of the game. And then there was a third edition version of the game I've also played through on this channel. Sorry, second edition, which was from third edition-ish 40K, like late second, early third edition 40K. This edition came out in 2009 and is one of the nicest of all time. It goes back to a variation of the first edition rules, and funnily enough is probably one of the highest quality component-wise box set the Games Workshop ever made. It is heavy. This box set probably weighs, that's a good like 10, 15 pounds of plastic and cardboard. And you can see here just by looking at the back, the components are crazy. I have a couple copies of this game. Actually, I have a couple sealed copies of this game, just because when it first came out, I knew I was going to paint one, play a bunch with it, want to give it away, or like let kids play with it, and then want another one for myself for later. So I actually have several copies of this game. It has the rule book, a mission book, 12 Space Marine miniatures. So you've got basically a couple squads of Space Marines, a librarian, some sort of like greatest hit stuff, and a sergeant who's also kind of captain-y, but lots of heavy weapons and stuff too. 22 Genestealers, a Brood Lord, which was something new for this box set. 3 mission objective models. So you get the Cat, which is one of the Cyber Altered Task Unit, which is like a classic sort of piece of terrain, and then 20 doors with plastic stands, 5 dice, a mission status display, and a egg timer, because this game still has a timer in it. Beautiful miniatures, all very dynamic. You had them like ripping up the floor and stuff like that. And one of my favorite things about them is they don't come on, they have their own bases, like integral bases, so you didn't have to worry about the terrain. Basically the bases for Terminators at the time were 40 mil, and they didn't really fit into the tiles anymore. Classic Space Hulk Terminators were on 25 mil bases, so they scaled them down and made them board game specific. Although plenty of people took these Terminators because they're beautiful miniatures and stuck them on larger bases. So what's this project going to be? Well, you're going to see multiple parts of this video. This is something I've never done before, so if you're new to the channel, then welcome. But if you're not new to the channel, you're probably going to expect me to just start playing this game. Well, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to kind of show you guys a little bit more of the process I go through when I start doing one of these projects, and include you guys in the building and painting. If you're a patron, I'm actually going to do this Hangouts. This version of the video is going to be sort of sped up and a bit shorter than what the patrons get, but as I build and paint things, we'll be chatting, and you'll see this as a sped up sort of like time lapse when we actually start doing the hobbying stuff, and I'm not kind of saying something important. But the full versions of these videos are available on Patreon, and they actually go up a week early typically, so you'll be seeing something that they've already basically gotten to hang out and be witness to, and ask questions about, interact with, and get my advice on. So without further ado, let's crack this box and see the quality of the cardboard. This is really important to me for some reason. Maybe because, I don't know, it's one of those things that the box quality, actually, I find really important. And the cardboard in this thing was basically indestructible. So you get your 2 rule books here, the rule book and the mission book. And the point of this mission today, or this video today is, I want to do the planning stage of this to play the first mission. So this game in particular, it used a AP allowance in its game design. So basically what you'd have is your Terminators would have 4 AP, 4 action points. All the rules are in the back of this book. You would have a series of command points that you could use to like influence taking additional actions and stuff like that. Then you have your action phase. The Genestealers would then work in the reinforcement phase. They'd have new ones show up in a blip format. So you had blips that had random numbers of Genestealers in them. And it was supposed to kind of mimic the scene in Aliens, where they don't know how many aliens are assaulting the command center, and they're seeing blips come in. It's just this like it's all very evocative of those movies, and obviously it's based on that. And then the action status phase. Now this game in its original format in first edition had solo rules, and they can easily be applied to this, but it is designed to be a 2-player game in this edition, where the Marine player and the Genestealer player both both take turns basically trying to kill each other. And then mission status, you check to see if the mission's over or whatever. And yeah, you would spend every point of movement in the square as a point of action points. Every like diagonal move is an action point. Every turn for a Space Marine is an action point. Typically, Gene Stealers get free ones. And then firing your gun, everything. Clearing your jams on your gun, everything costs action points. Marines have 4, and Gene Stealers and Blips have 6. You would just roll dice and try and kill your opponent. It was really simple, like a Stormbolter would roll 2d6s. There's no hitting and wounding like there is in a game Warhammer 40,000. It's just on a 6+ on either dice, you would kill them. You have unlimited range of your Stormbolter, but you have 12 squares when you're on Overwatch because you're looking for things to come close to you. But it had a sustained fire rule. Every action point you took shooting at something after the first would add 1 to the roll to hit. And if you rolled doubles, it could jam while you were doing sustained fire. And then you had your assault dice, and it was the same kind of idea. It was just whoever rolled the highest. So with Space Marines rolling a d6 to fight, and Gene Stealers rolling 3d6, very often these Space Marines, 1d6 versus 3d6 pick the highest, they would just die. They would just explode. Gene Stealers are ultra dangerous when it comes to fighting. And you had your special characters in here as well. So you had things like the Librarian and the Broodlord, special weapons like the Assault Cannon, the Chain Fist, the Heavy Flamer, the Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, Lightning Claws and Power Sword. This box kind of crammed all the expansions from the original first edition of the game into a single book. It's sort of a greatest hits, if you will, of the games. But we'll save gameplay from when we actually get down to playing. And right now, we're going to focus on what would we need to put together to play the first mission. So these models were push fit, which was kind of cool. And the idea here was that you could just kind of like cram the box together and get playing as soon as possible. We're going to take a little bit more time doing that and look through the first mission. Now, the first mission at every Space Hulk is always suicide mission. You're trying to flamethrower a room. It's one of the original sort of like classic missions. So we only need a single squad of Space Marines. We will need to probably put together all the Gene Stealers, but they're pretty quick and easy to paint, and a certain number of doors. So here it is, mission 1, suicide mission. So forces in deployment. The Space Marine player has 1 squad. It's a Sergeant Arm with a Stormbolter and Power Sword, 1 Marine with a Flamer and Power Fist, and 3 Space Marines with Stormbolters and Power Fists. The Space Marine player deploys their squad on the starting squares shown on the map, and the Gene Stealer player begins the mission with 2 blips and receives 2 reinforcement blips per turn. Blips can enter anywhere you want. So with 2 blips and 2 reinforcement blips, you're probably not going to need all the Gene Stealers. You need at least 12. So we'll start off painting 12 and put them together to get ready to rock and roll. So let's have a look at what we need to grab. So out of this box, we've got our Gene Stealer frames and our door frames. And I don't think I've pilfered these. The box was already open, so I wasn't 100% sure everything was going to be unpunched. I have occasionally given away Gene Stealer miniatures to people, and also the Broodlord, but it looks like everything's in here. Actually, even there's a classic Gene Stealer in here for some reason that I have no idea why. I must have just taken the shrink off this to show somebody, but it looks like everything's in here. Yeah, there's nothing that's been cut out. There's the big Broodlord right there. And then here are our Space Marines, along with the cat, so the Cyber Altered Task Unit. And he's a little bit broken, but we can probably fix him up. It looks like some stuff got smushed a little bit. But a little plastic glue should be able to put him back together right as rain. That's our Librarian right there and our cat. There's also a cool Space Marine dead on a throne, which I love. That there's like an objective marker basically with that dead Space Marine. And then all of our actual Marines are on here. All of our cardboard appears to be intact. There's all our blip markers. We'll worry about all that later on though, because that's obviously not super important. And most important of all is the egg timer in one piece. Because if it's not, it's going to be a problem. These things, we had a bunch of these when I worked for Workshop get returned because the egg timer had broken. And it looks like, and the egg timer also would like dry out and the sand wouldn't fall. No, it looks like it's still working. I think it's in one piece, yeah. It looks like it's all right. The sand would either get chunky or get stuck though, and people would return the egg timer. No, it looks like it's, oh no, this one doesn't look like it's going. I think it's gotten stuck somehow. It's on one side, maybe if I shake it, I can get it to go, but I'll screw with the egg timer later. I think it just needs a really good shake. And I think that's it. So let's find the instructions for these guys. Yeah, you can see how much cardboard was in this thing, like just an absolute metric ton of cardboard. And as this has been sitting in a storage unit for a while, it's a little bit warped, but I should be able to just like weigh it down and get it all to be nice. Get some standard D6s there. And one of these is gonna have the instruction booklet in it. Doesn't look like that one. No, that's all cardboard. One of you must have the instructions. I can probably just wing it if I'm being honest, but I'd like to be able to show them off on camera. It looks like I don't have them. Unless maybe they're in the rule book. That's another possibility. Actually, it's the hobby stuff could just be in the rule book over here. Let's have a look. If nothing else, I can just use this picture on the back and it should be fine. But I don't think, maybe it doesn't have hobby instructions. Nope, doesn't look like it does. So we'll just go off of, yeah, we'll just go off of what's in here. I think we're going to go in blind. So we'll start off by building Sergeant Lorenzo, rocking in the benzo. I'm gonna hang out with the chat, so get ready to watch some sped up time-lapsey stuff, and we'll catch up and see what they're doing. All right, gang, let's see what we got here. Oh, geez, the chat's gone crazy. We got T-Bird's here now, Ewan's here. Who else is here? Jack Fletcher, I think you already commented. Dan Fox here, fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, this was something that everybody kind of built like a bunch of different things out of. I grabbed some plastic glue and stuff over here too, so let's just get my hobby tools to one side. I can probably get them off camera. Move them over here, and let's start clipping. So it's looking like Lorenzo's in like 3 or 4 pieces. I do remember the first time I built these guys that they were very prone to like the push fit would like break a little bit, because they had some like very like sensitive details, and also that the bases tended to have big mold lines on them. I also think that when I clipped these off originally, I clipped off at least 3 details. So what's cool about Sergeant Lorenzo, I don't know if you guys remember this at all, is this is actually Mephisto, or is, no, sorry, about the, Sergeant Lorenzo is carrying a sword that should look really familiar, and it's because it's Mephiston's sword. Because Brother Callisterius is the librarian, and Brother Callisterius is the original name of Mephiston. So one of the cool like hidden Easter eggs in this box set that they kind of threw in for big Blood Angel fans is that Mephiston's sort of like origin story, because he's the lone survivor of this like mission, is this, and he honors Lorenzo by taking his power sword after Lorenzo dies during this mission. So the reason why the power sword that he's carrying has that same flange and stuff on it is he eventually has it reworked into his force sword when he becomes Mephiston. And Callisterius is the librarian that gets trapped in the rubble when he succumbs to the Black Rage. And the idea is that the Black Rage gets triggered by his experiences on the Space Hulk, like the stress of losing all of his brothers gets to him and becomes this like big thing. It's a neato little story and a nice little Blood Angel Easter egg, only for you patrons. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. I was struggling with this being Throwback Thursday on a Sunday. It doesn't take much to scramble my chronometron. No, I can imagine it wouldn't. This is one of those things where I'm trying to use my time better, and this seems to be the right way to do it. Okay, so let's open up that plastic cement, and let's clean this sucker off. Yeah, this guy, I remember in particular the sergeant, his cloak had a lot of little details that were real easy to accidentally cut off. Like there's like I think this vent is actually on like a stud, like a little skull that's holding his cloak together. And if I remember, I carved it off the first time I built this guy. Being Blood Angels and all. Now, the nice thing about these is I will obviously paint them as Blood Angels. They are wicked easy to paint. They're old school Terminators. Although they're kind of in the new school Terminator scale. They're all pretty damn big. They don't look too bad actually against these Terminators. Oh, should I go get a pin? But now I'll drill these out later. I was like, I immediately realized that these Way back in the day. All right, there we go, brother Zale. And we're done the Terminator squad. So it is 5 Terminators all done. And we're on to the next thing. Okay, so we got the Terminators finished. And I managed to not break off any of these little pins, which I think is a miracle. And they all went on just fine, which is a double miracle. So real quick, let's count how many doors I need just for that one mission. Because like I'll paint them all separately. So suicide mission looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just 7 doors. That's easy. So we'll clip out 7 doors, and then we'll do 12 gene stealers because that's what I had for last time. So 7 doors, 6, 7. That's convenient. And we'll just quickly clean these out. Actually, the quickest way to do this is do all of them along a line. I want to see some, hey, I've done this for a games day once or twice kind of skills get popped out here. And then you just keep going down the line. And I'll clean all the corners afterwards. That one done. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, which means I need 8 more. Good Lord. So let's do all the one-piece ones. So like guy coming through floor, he is an excellent gene stealer. One of my favorite gene stealers, in fact. Also, speed painting these just means use contrast. Like it is very easy to speed paint this box set. The gene stealers especially get speed painted very easily. And clip that sucker off. Yeah, we'll do all these one pieces. This is nice and easy. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 6 more. So 7. Trying desperately not to break any of these. I love that every gene stealer that is one of the greatest glow ups in the history of this like game, is that they went from every gene stealer being almost identical. There's actually 2 poses. Because post the original version of Space Hulk, they're all one pose. There was a second pose of Gene Stealer that was made in 2nd edition 40K. They did a second like Gene Stealer pose basically and added to the frame. And it was like left hand up, left hand down, and then right hand up, right hand down was the 2 Gene Stealers. I love that in this one, they made a point of just having every single Gene Stealer be different. I just think that's really cool. And an excellent sort of thing. You know what else I could do actually is I could just film a video of me airbrushing these guys and show it while I'm streaming and then get into the painting part with you guys too. Maybe I'll do that. I'm trying to think of the format of how I would do this. probably gonna just do these all the same basic color though, because I'm gonna try and speed paint them. Well, not speed paint them. I'm gonna factory paint them, right? I'm gonna production line paint them. So I'm not gonna bother giving them too many character stuffs, and I'll incorporate my my airbrushing techniques into it too. I'll probably airbrush, dry brush, contrast, and then highlight. That is my current way of doing things. That is the like, this is from workshop. I do care about this, but I'm not going to kill myself over it because I'm not a painter guy. I want to get these on the table and play some games with them. I got 3 guys left here. This one doesn't require any gluing, so let's do you. And the prep is done. And these are spectacular miniatures, I have to say. Like, just the quality of these. And what's funny is because a lot of them are single piece, they are a little bit 2D. You can see that they're slightly stretched out. And these are early digital sculpts too. So some of the details kind of flatten so they would go into the mold properly. But I will say that, like, as far as like the quality of the box goes, this holds up so well for being 15 years old and just being early to the technology. It's really impressive that this was like a really early on like digital product, and the component quality is so high. I will say this comes from an era, I think, where there just isn't, there's nothing like this. I think until, like, Dreadfleet's the other thing that's like this, but unfortunately the audience for Dreadfleet's so small because it's not Space Marines. The component quality in Dreadfleet is also this high. They were really putting everything into making these products really, really well. And then the last time they did this was Curse City. And with all the weirdness that happened with Curse City, it feels like they just stopped. They were just like, no, we can't make these like super high-end things anymore. And I'm really sad about it, because like I wish there was more kind of unique one-off. Like I really wanted Hive Secundus to be this, and looking at Hive Secundus and being like, yeah, like I get what you're doing here. You're doing it inside kind of like, I think the constraints that you guys have on you now, both like just with like the, you know, what the times, the fact that getting like high quality cardboard out of China costs an arm and a leg now. You can't just do it the way you used to be able to, and shipping costs a gajillion. So maybe they'll come back to it, maybe when they invest in their own infrastructure, because I know Workshop's investing in their own factories and packaging departments, infrastructure, and you know that means probably cardboard printing and more paper packaging and stuff as well. Maybe that will come back, right? Maybe that'll be a thing that, like, once they've vertically integrated, they can kind of take a step back and be like, no, we need to do things to the highest possible quality. I hope it does, because that was sort of a trademark of them for a long time. But I guess we'll see. All right, we did it. All right, so that's 12 Gene Stealers, yeah, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I did 10, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should I do 12? I did 12 before. How many more are on here? I'll do 12, fuck it, why not? There's 20, oh wait, is there 22? How many are in the box? I said before how many were in the box, and I think it was 22. Maybe it was 20 or 22. I'll do half. How about that for the first one? I'll do half. And then immediately regret it, probably. Oh no, it's not in this one, it's in the other one. It's in the other one. There are 22 blips, 21, it's 22 Gene Stealers, 1 Broodlord, 1 Dead Space. Okay, yeah, so we'll do 11. I'll do 1 more. I'll do half of them. We'll make it happen. I'd feel like I was cheaping out if I didn't do at least half here. Oh, I'll do this guy on the baby Broodlord, the one that's like sticking up on this giant piece of like construction gear right here. He's a cool mini. It's funny because a bunch of my Kill Team 2016 Gene Stealers are all Gene Stealers from this box set, because I had a couple open copies that were like returned copies that we were throwing out at the office, and I just grabbed them because I was like, I'll use more. I'll have extra card sections, because maybe I'll play first edition Space Hulk and just have all the extra rooms and stuff like that. But there was extra Gene Stealer frames in them, because usually what happened was exactly what happened with mine here, was that Space Marines were all broken, or something was broken, and so we'd get it returned. But I think the other ones were like, or they were breaking them open to pull out the pieces that they needed to give away or send back where customer service was giving them away. And that's where these came from, because they're just getting chucked at the end of it all. And I was like a raccoon going through the dumpster, just like being like, ooh, got some extra Space Hulk towels there. I'll take those, because that was my MO. So there it is, last Gene Stealer. So deciding to do half the Gene Stealers, I did 1 frame worth of doors, 8, and then the Space Marine squad that I need for the first mission here. And I'll break this down into, I think, a couple more project steps. So now this is done, I'm gonna prime them. Deciding my primer color, I think I'm gonna go with a dark brown, because brown works to red really well, but it also weirdly works to blue and metallic really well too for the dingy interior of the Space Hulk. So I think I'm gonna prime all of these like a dark kind of chocolate brown. And then next episode, part 2, I'm gonna do some airbrushing and painting, and we'll watch me do that. So there it is, prep work for part 1 of this. Now, this is a really good way of, I think, parsing any kind of project. A lot of times, and it's funny because just recently I did this with Spearhead, was instead of having my entire Spearhead box painted before I played, I built and painted one of the 2 Spearheads out of the Scaventide box, and then friends came over with a Spearhead of models that they had, and we tried the game out that way. I think whenever you do a project like this, the tighter you can close the loop, so the more often you can get from build, paint, and into play, and break it into smaller pieces, the reward kind of triggers your wanting to keep going on the project. So that's my goal here. And in this part 1, having a plan for that, right? Play the suicide mission, play the first mission, get these particular models painted. What that means is I can go through, and when mission 2 comes around, all I have to add is the stuff that I need for that additional mission. So in this case, I'll need to probably double the doors. So I've got 8 doors done here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so basically doubling the doors. More entry areas means more Gene Stealers. So maybe I'll do, if I'm doing half the Gene Stealers now, I'm doing 11, I'll do 5 or 6 more. Or I'll finish up all the loose ones on the frame. And then what do I need for the Space Marines? They're 1 squad. It's a Sergeant armed with a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, a Space Marine with an Assault Cannon and Power Fist, 1 with a Stormbolter and Chain Fist, and 2 with Stormbolters and Power Fist. So all I have to do is paint 3 Space Marines, the Sergeant, the Assault Cannon, and the Chain Fist. So 3 Marines, let's say 5 more Gene Stealers and 8 more door frames, and I get to do mission 2. And that breaks it sort of into chunks that are a little more achievable and manageable, and I don't feel overwhelmed by the amount of work in front of me. So we'll be back next week with part 2. You get to see the painting. I'm gonna go spray paint these off camera, so you'll see them sort of start off life as like a dark brown spray paint. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part 1 of the 2009 Space Hulk project. Of course, if you're a patron, you got to hang out with me live and do this. All that stuff that you saw me zip through there in the time lapse was me hanging out and talking to the patrons. We talked about Spearhead. We talked about we talked a little bit about what was it, casual match play, and that word getting thrown around, and a bunch of various other topics. I'm gonna go hang out with them for a bit, and I hope you guys enjoy this. We'll see you next week for the next part of Space Hulk 2009.